This show is about breeding and genetics, and today I'm talking with Brad from Rot Genetics. We'll be talking about flavors, feminized seeds, cherry paloma, and Skittles. We'll also be talking to Sticky Richie about pink pistils, purple flowers, and growing outdoors on the East Coast. So let's get into it.
If you pop a pack of Peyton's Pie, wow, say that 3 times fast. All traditional OGs are quite old at this age. Stability is based on quality of selection, no matter if it's a male or if it's a female. That's
skunky armpit kind of old schoolness going on to it. He's asked her, what, you don't pocket mulch? And he has compost in his pockets. And
welcome everybody to another episode of the Breeding and Genetics Show, where we highlight some of my favorite breeders, talk about their work, and learn what they have coming in the future. Now, I first became familiar with Brad and Rot Genetics through the DGC, which is the Do Grow show a few years back. Seems like a few years back, but it was probably like 5 or 6 years back because time just freaking flies when you're busy. But the variety of flavors that you had was something that really caught my eye. And when people, they want flavor, you have many different distinct routes you can direct them to. It's not just like, oh, go for this one. It's fruity. So broad within that category. So I just want to say thank you for coming to talk to me today. And, please, for anybody who hasn't been familiar yet with Rot Genetics, please go ahead and introduce yourself.
My name's Brad. I'm one of the founders of Rot Genetics. We've been doing this for probably about almost 10 years now. And it's definitely started out as just like an organic thing that we're extremely passionate about. And, here we are all this time later, just continuing to hone the craft and doing our best to try to steward genetics in the proper direction where, we can really live up to the mentality of flavor forward, which is kind of one of the mottos we have here at Rot Genetics, because at the end of the day, the flavor is the thing that people will remember the most. It will have the biggest resonation over years. I think we all have things we can remember from the past, from our early smoking days and stuff that just stand out forever for just because it was so early, right? So I feel like the flavor is the thing, and that's definitely one of the things we focus on here.
That's a huge thing for me too, because I have a drawer with many varieties. I always like to grow variety, and there are certain times of the day or whenever that I'm just like, what, I want something really tasty, something that's just kind of stick to my mouth and make it pucker. So having a good variety does help there, and flavor forward, I like that, and it kind of shows in the work.
Yeah, man, it's been good.
Yeah. Now, when you started, roughly 10 years ago, moving through today, today you have a lot of feminized as well as regular seeds. Did you always offer feminized, or was that something that you kind of grew into? And kind of where do you think that fits for home growers? Because that's usually who is watching this type of show, is somebody who's maybe got the chance to run 6 at a time, or they've got, a tent 2 or 4 at a time. So that's a lot of questions in one. I'll repeat them if you need me to.
Yeah, no, I think that feminized seeds are a great solution for the hobbyist and the home grower. Like you said, they're not running a lot at once typically, and you don't want to be throwing a bunch of males away unless you look to do breeding or whatever. So yeah, I think fem seeds are a great starting point to just kind of simplify some of the moving parts. And yeah, in the beginning, when we first got started, it was just with traditional males, right? We're in California. OG Kush was king of the hill. And so that's kind of where we went straight to OG Kush after our very first project, just kind of getting the wheels going with pink. And then I was like, well, we need something with more longevity. And so we wanted to go straight to OG, and we did French toast. And we did French toast for a long time, because originally we didn't want to just be I felt like people were coming out with things too quickly. And I kind of understand a little better now why breeders were always trying to have new things, coming and becoming available. But yeah, we started our roots with OG Kush and traditional males. And I remember in my earliest days, I was definitely one of the people where I was like, oh, no fem seeds, right? That's a lower quality product. And oh, you're hermaphroditing the plant and like all of these things. Cause I didn't know, I didn't know what it even took to make fem seeds. So,
Yeah.
but we
Yep.
did hit a point eventually where the request for feminized seeds was so strong that I was like, all right, well, I'll try my hand and see how it goes. And, just for me personally, I started out getting like good and bad advice. And so critical parts of the process were missing, which led to a lot of trial and error and loss and failure on my end. But, I persisted through the challenges and were able to figure out what was missing in the puzzle there. And yeah, now we're super good at doing the feminized stuff, and we even make the feminized recipe and details and stuff available in Discord. So if anybody out there wants to, do their own feminized seeds, make your own STS, do the whole thing, it's literally free all day, every day in Discord. It's been there for a couple of years at this point. And I know personally, I've also like helped a lot of people get through some of the learning curves on making fem seeds, and a bunch of people in the community have also become feminized breeders, or at least hobbyists, with that recipe. So yeah, big fan of the feminized seeds. I think that they're a great solution for people, and honestly, stability doesn't really seem to be a problem. The stability is based on quality of selection, no matter if it's a male or if it's a female. That's just the rule of law with it right there. So quality selection equals, a more enjoyable experience on the back end for sure.
And I appreciate people like yourself who, were playing with this many years ago and have done all the R&D work for us. So now, when it comes to feminizing, it's definitely not as mysterious. And we've, kind of honed in on one solution more so than others that were used in the past. So I do appreciate that R&D work. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Now, when you started, you started with the OG Kush. Now, I love OG Kush, but OG Kush to me does not scream the flavor that Raw Genetics screams to me today. So maybe where and when did you start to introduce some of the more mouth puckering flavors?
I think just the longer that we're, honing the skills and participating in the market, the more that we would see just the behavior in the market and what interests people. And then you start just getting more interested in more diverse things as well, right? As you go, it's like, hey, I really like the direction of this, and that's like sweeter. Let's explore some sweeter flavors. And then also the markets evolve, right? And so you have to be mindful of that and kind of at the same time, like figure out how do you enjoy playing inside whatever the meta is at the time. And so some things I haven't liked to participate in, like I didn't do ice cream cake anything, or, I
Okay.
feel like there's probably
Yep.
a couple of things like that where it was like definitely a big wave. Everybody except for us probably made one, right? And so
Right.
there's a few things we didn't dive in just because it's like it's just not for us, right? But yeah, I think it just organically evolved, just like this whole thing kind of has, where you move from one thing and you start, broadening your interest as you go, right? And
Mhm.
it's led to strawberry, different fruits, oranges, a lot of Skittles work, some focused gelato stuff. Definitely variations on gas. Like we're really big into the Georgia pie stuff and starting to really work those lines. So I think it's important to offer a variety because, like if we only have strawberry or we only have OG or something, there's a lot of people who we're not going to be able to do anything to help them or improve their
Right.
gardens in any way, right? So when people come, you want to make sure that you have a good volume of options to recommend that would be, in the zone of whatever they might be interested in.
And there's only so much time in the day too, and you have a lot to work with, so it's not like you can actually go and chase everything even if you wanted to, even if you
Yeah.
loved a particular strain, it's just not fitting in at the moment. And I've always heard there's the fruity, floral, earthy, and gassy. If you can have something kind of in each one of those quadrants, you're going to be able to satisfy most people. and then you can specialize. There's always like subgenres within the genres. But you mentioned Georgia Pie here, and I have one of your packs here. So Raw Genetics, everybody, this is what you're looking for. And the pack I actually have here is the lemon cherry pie that has the lemon cherry gelato times your Georgia pie, which is a gelati times Cushmit's S1, is that? Or Cushmit's 2.
It's just feminized, yeah.
Okay, well, yeah, maybe. Can you tell me and everybody listening a little bit about this strain and maybe why you chose the lemon cherry gelato and the Georgia pie to work with and put together?
Yeah, lemon cherry gelato was definitely on the come up when we first made that. It's quite a while back now, but you know, it was in the early days of runts really taking off and becoming a dominant, you know, player in the market as far as like everybody having runts. And I think almost everybody has adopted lemon cherry gelato mostly as the flower you see for runts these days. I don't feel like I've seen real, like the actual runts cut in a minute. There is a different one for sure, which we had some crosses with that as well. And they did breed differently. But yeah, the lemon cherry gelato gives you like a lot of the sweet sunset sherb, like ice cream area of things. And it's definitely a performer. And I think now, obviously, the lemon cherry gelato is like probably one of the biggest players in the market. Like everybody has lemon cherry gelato, right? And she continues to have dominance, it feels like, in a lot of ways, even though it seems like some people would like to steer away. It's not going away, you know what I mean? So
it's good.
It ended up being, yeah, it ended up being a good play. Like the reality is that it resonates with a lot of people. And it actually breeds very well. It makes plants that perform well. And, you know, as long as your pairing is good as far as trying to approach flavor, then the results seem to be there. So, yeah, she's been a great performer. And I think those are actually mostly gone at this point. So, you know, there might be a couple left in a few seed banks, but I think we're actually ran out. And at this point, we're not making more Georgia Pie F1 Fims. And we've got like a Georgia Pie F2 right now. We're going to be releasing that soon. And we're hunting that so that we can, the next line of Fims will be from the F2. We'll offer an F3. We'll start going down, you know, a little bit of line breeding there and trying to just really, obviously, Seed Junkie is the original creator of Georgia Pie. And so we also are big fans of it. And we want to really hone Georgia into her own seed line and not just as an S1, right? I think that something more like an F2 where it's made with something from the same original stock is going to give you more longevity and less bottlenecking probably.
It'll be a fun experiment. And that kind of, you know, leads me to another question too is, you know, what has been one that people ask you to make more seeds of, you know, more beans of? It's because there's only so much and they go quick. So what is one that, yeah, people are like, will you please?
Yeah, at one point it became Cherry Paloma because when I initially made Cherry Paloma, which is definitely one of our most popular ones right now, but in the beginning it was not popular at all. People, the initial like release of Cherry Paloma, people were kind of like, okay, you know, they weren't really which was disappointing to me because, you know, I try to mindfully pair things and think about like what is going to give a good result. And I had a lot of faith in this cross specifically, and people just did not, the market sentiment did not agree with me. But then my friend JR, you know, he got some and he was like, man, this is just top stuff here. And literally JR Token just made it from zero to hero. And yeah, so people eventually were like, can you make more? Because I was making more Georgia, but we weren't making more Cherry Paloma because there was no demand. You know what I mean? It's like you don't waste time making something there's no demand for. And then demand went through the roof. And it's like, oh my God. I'm like, okay. Which I was happy to see, of course, because again, I knew this was one that should have like mass market adoption and universal, like it's a profile people can really understand, you know.
It's a beautiful freaking plant. And yeah, again, being a fan of the DGC and familiar with JR, the you know, his Cherry Paloma cut is just a slut. She is everywhere.
She's everywhere.
People love it. People just, yeah, I have I've seen so many good things about that cherry paloma. It's just unbelievable.
Yeah.
So I could understand why that would be on the top of the list there for some people. Like, please make more.
Yeah. It's destined for you know, an actual line. Like I said, we're not going to be making any more cherry paloma. We have plenty right now, so I made a nice stock before we cutting it
Nice.
off, right? And then we'll be doing the same thing. We're moving into making F2s. We'll probably make a trop cherry back cross. We'll make cherry paloma out crosses, and then start actually trying to like refine the line and really hone it so that when people get, you know, the F3, potentially F4, pending how things go. You know, it's hard to project that far out, but that's the initial idea, is to really start taking some of these things and making them, you know, line bred and feminized.
That'll be awesome. Yeah, and you mentioned the profiles earlier too, and that was, you know, you do a lot of work with the Z Skittles, and
Yeah.
that's been a very popular strain for a very good reason. But as somebody who tried to first experience that through recreational market, and for a while through recreational market, I never really got like good terpene profiles, and I'm aware that that is usually the only way people can access that unless they grow it themselves and then they get something. So maybe for those people who are stuck at the rec store for now, they haven't picked up your packs yet. What is the profile? And I'm assuming that it will vary slightly from like seed to seed, plant to plant, environment to environment. But what is just the kind of the basic like flavor or terpene profile people are looking for from a Skittles in a generic sense?
Yeah, it's definitely something that you'll hear described as like a very fruity profile if people aren't able to discern inside of it. For me, I would always say it's like grapefruit, like kind of piney, but there's not direct pine, and then like range of citrus. And it's definitely a bouquet of profiles. A good way to literally explain how you might perceive it, at least I do, is if you were to take like a handful of original Skittles and like chew it up, or like maybe
Yes.
smell the bag. Like it got the name because it really does have a similar profile where you could understand why you might call it that. And
Okay, good.
it's she's tough, man. The original Z, I respect anybody who's trying to grow it at all, because it's just sometimes she just puts her hands up and is like, I'm gonna cut it off here, guys. And like you're not ready for that, right? So I feel like that's one of the reasons I really want to refine it, and we're doing the back cross work trying to improve it, because when I look at it, I don't think that it has any commercial market viability
Right.
at all, because she's so finicky. She doesn't clone well. Like everything that you need it to do, it's just not great at. But what it is great at is when it's right, the flavor is like unmatchable. It's really special. You know what I mean? So in the Z work that we're doing, whether it's some of the Z out crosses, like I see Z as a pretty dominant profile. It shows up very frequently. In the back cross work that we're doing, it's pretty much all there is. Like there's not any other profiles coming through. It's just slight nuanced variations of Z, which luckily it's like that means we just have to be really good with our male selection. Which again, like even mentioning males right now, it's like people have just been saying, "Can you make this feminized? Like, why isn't this feminized?" It's like, well, I'm trying to do I'm trying to do the work here, right? Like, yes, feminized. And so we'll probably try to bring that to people at some point. But, you know, right now it's even in this initial work, like we made the BX3, it's in testing right now. But we just didn't have enough to give to anybody. So it's like
Right.
we're continuing still to do the work right now, but it's going to take a while to even get around to being able to try to make the BX3s for people to get, because that's what was the intention. People didn't actually get the BX2. Like there's a very small amount of those, but we are going to make a pheno available. So we're calling that Zicky Guy. So basically you can see there's a Z in the front here, and that's on top of the root word ikigai, which is like a Japanese mentality, basically, where it's like your your meaning, like your path of like what really resonates with you in life, right? So it's like
Okay.
your purpose, right? That's what I'm trying to find the word. And so I really do feel a lot of purpose in doing the work to make this Z become better and more commercially viable for people. So, and it's definitely a lot of work. Like
Yeah.
it's a lot of work. So yeah, I thought that that was a really fitting name. I find a lot of purpose in it, and it's like, what is your purpose in life? Is that's your icky guy. And so yeah, I feel like if people aren't familiar with that, they should try to find whatever their icky guy is as well.
Well, I'm glad I'm familiar with it now, because if you said find your inner icky guy, I probably would have told you like a dirty joke. So
Right,
yes,
like, well, I'll tell you about icky guy.
you're like, yeah, that's not the right one. So I'm glad you explained it, and I do like that, because again, I believe in the plant as a medicine, and a lot of the things that I do and try to you know at least inform other people is just do things with purpose. Have an
Purpose, yeah.
intention, have a goal. But yeah, purpose is super important, and everything comes out better. So
Yeah.
yeah, you've mentioned the OG Kush that you kind of started with, and some of the more contemporary things. Do you have, or do you still combine a lot of kind of like old school with like new school, for lack of a better term, or do you kind of keep some pure, or not mix the histories? Lack of words,
Yeah,
lack of words.
yeah, I think it's if it's something that's really stood the test of time, and we definitely have some classics like Skywalker, right? Going back to OG
Right.
Kush. Skywalker OG is definitely one of the ones. Honestly, it's probably the thing I've had the longest. I didn't even realize that. And then the other day, little bro was like, no, we had Skywalker before we had Sunset Sherbet and the burner cookie and stuff. And I was like, oh shit, you're right. We had it a while before. And so it's like,
Wow.
yeah, man, Skywalker just specifically is definitely old school OG, right? It's a classic, and it's definitely still in demand. I feel like OG in general is kind of having a resurgence right now. And
Hmm.
so our most recent drop was Pie in the Sky, which is Skywalker Georgia Pie. And yeah, people are really, really loving that. And we have another one coming up soon. It's called Mega OG. We're collaborating with Mega Robot brand, so they're in the rec market, and they're also members of the Board Ape Yacht Club and stuff like we are. And so, just through the network, we're able to contact each other, and it's turned into where, like, we're trying to help them obviously have their own strains and do some different things that they don't do on their own. So yeah, I think that's one that people are really going to look forward to. That's Pave Skywalker feminized. So it's going to be very traditional, OG Kush profiles, but probably better stems, thicker, a little squattier, but not a lot squattier, right? Closer
Okay.
nugs, not shorter plants necessarily. But yeah,
Right.
I'm very excited to get that out to people. I think that's going to be a really nice, like contemporary OG Kush, right? Like, it's a lot of potential there for the Mega OG. Same with the Pie in the Sky, but Georgia brings the gelati a lot to the table, and gelati usually becomes a pretty powerful part of the profile, which is not really in line with traditional OG, right? So you'll see like the Kush, but you're also going to see like Georgia doing what Georgia does. So
That's great that you have that collaboration, and you could kind of work. I've seen some other seed companies really be able to do some wonderful like pheno hunting, and just working in facilities. And again, you could kind of see how things work in the market as well. But that would be exciting as
yeah,
it plays out. And yeah, the OG, like the OG Kush is kind of one of those plants. Like it can be kind of like tall and lanky as far as needing some support. Um,
yep.
but I was going somewhere with that,
These
which
are
is the power of
definitely
editing.
right, right. Yeah,
The power of editing.
these are definitely going to have way better like stability of branching, like the core stem. Like you said, OG Kush does tend to be like a little lanky and a long length between like the golf balls, right? So we kind of
Yep.
want to see those golf balls. We want to see them get a little
Yep.
closer. We still want to see that that nice stack that you would know from like OG. That way you have that end result of the way the flower looks, the structure, you know what I mean? But yeah, it should be a nice improvement on the experience of getting to the finish line, right? Because OG can also be pretty finicky. They can be like touchy with the lights. They're old also, like all traditional OGs are quite old at this age. You know, the stage in the
really.
game, they've been around for a very long time. You know what I mean? And so that can always make it harder too. So when you have these like a really nice hybrid like that, you're going to probably get better performance and hopefully still see, you know, profiles that are in line with variations of traditional OG.
And then thank you. You reminded me halfway through, and then you actually touched on it while you're talking there. But it can be kind of finicky, and that brought me to the question in my head was, out of the lineup, I'm sure there's some that are easier than others to grow. They're probably all pretty, relatively easy if everybody has, a good recipe, which is easily available online, or, ask people in your Discord. But are there maybe one or two things you could think of from your line that is a little bit easier, or maybe or not easier, but something you would feel confident giving to maybe a new grower, somebody like a home
Yeah.
grower to just start out? All right.
Yeah.
What would those be?
If you're looking for like some gas, I know I hear this a lot. People want to like,
Mhm.
what's your gassiest strain? Or, people ask
Mhm.
stuff like that. And it just happens to be peanut butter pie is like very solid gas. And you do get like some like pecan and like toasted nut profiles in there
Okay.
with the gas. So it's a really enjoyable
Good.
smoke, very pungent smell. And they're also like a walk in the park to grow, right? So that is Georgia pie and stuffed French toast together. And stuffed French toast is probably one of the longest running clone onlys from us. Blue Dream King found it like in the beginning. It's from the original French toast stuff, probably the first couple crosses we made. So she's been out for a while, and pretty much everything that she's in, you get just this really strong branching and very low leaf ratio. The plants are just like the growth rate is literally fast enough to save you a week in veg. Like they're and it transitions into all of the hybrids. We did a stuffed French toast line. Obviously, we've had it in a bunch of other outcrosses as well. And it doesn't matter where she is in there. If she's in there, you're getting thick branches, low leaf, nice flowers, and most things make hash. Which it's hard for me to say that like, oh, if you use that, it'll make hash. But with stuffed French toast, it's pretty well proven that if it's in there, they make hash pretty frequently, right? So yeah, that's super easy to grow. It's going to be quick. It's going to be drinking, right? So yeah, if you're just starting out, you're looking for something that's real easy. Look for peanut butter pie or maybe stuffed cherry gelato. That would be another one where you see you got the lemon cherry gelato in there. We got the stuffed French toast. Both really, really great performers on their own. Together, all-star plants for sure.
We kind of touched, you mentioned earlier, Cherry Paloma, and people kind of slept on that before, and now they're absolutely not, which is good because more are available. But, out of the current lineup, maybe what is today's Cherry Paloma? What may people maybe be sleeping on from the lineup? And then
Damn.
one that they're not sleeping on. That's good.
Man, that is a good question. Man, what is something that I feel like just in general right now, people are kind of sleeping on just the new traditional work that we did. There's a bunch of cool things in there. I've just been super passionate about the Z work. I would say, yeah, there's probably a couple things in there that people haven't been like just hitting on super hard, which is a little bit shocking, like polychromatic. It's definitely, people are grabbing polychromatic, but the feedback on it is insane. Like tropical cream yields icy, you know what I mean? Like the testing
Okay.
shows that it's pretty much, we've got pretty good at how to pair things based on knowing what things are, right? And so I know both of
Right.
them very well, and it was very like thought out on why we made that, because Skittles is great, but it also kind of can be a little greasy. It doesn't always wash, but Peyton's pie always washes. Like literally, if you pop a pack of Peyton's pie, Wow, I'll say that 3 times fast.
Wow.
You pop a pack of those, right? What a mouthful. Like I could pretty much guarantee you're gonna find 6 or 7. Almost 50% will probably be exemplary washers, like 4% range or more. And no matter what, I think the lowers will still be around 3. So it's like that's one where we just know they wash. And the one that we used is super proven, washed a ton of times, returns are great, and it's also a workhorse, right? Like 3 alike kind of stuff. And so something that can do that range plus the profile of Z, now we're talking about things that have commercial viability, right? Things that can actually perform across the board, because you really want that Swiss Army knife when it comes to phenos. You want something that is capable of doing it all. You want it to look good, smell good, taste good. If it can wash and yield, I mean, you're doing the rain dance, right? Like there's nobody who's going to be disappointed in checking almost every box, right? So I think that with a little bit of hunting, you could probably check every box with that. And I'm surprised that they didn't just fly out. Like as opposed to Rain Doe. Rain Doe was like the first one that we dropped. That was Z Pi ZBX2. And I knew that was going to be gone instantly. Z Pi is easily one of our most popular crosses, and we just can't keep it on the shelf. So, the double Z, and again, it's another one where it's like every single thing in the Z line has really been proving to be amazing, but I feel like people just want it to be feminized so bad. So they're like not trying some of the newer stuff, which has got a lot of work in it. You know what I mean? But it takes time, like Cherry Paloma. Sometimes they don't know until they know, and then it's game time, right? So that's fine. That's just the market doing market things, and we'll do our best to always make creative and, again, flavor forward profiles available.
And you mentioned the grow reports are starting to come in off of that one too. And it's funny how sometimes you're really excited about something personally, and it may not hit or start off exactly where you had thought it would, just because you're so excited. And then slowly but surely, grow reports come in, and more attention gets paid. And then it's like people are starting to like, will you make more of those? I can't find them now. So hopefully that's another one.
It'll be gone
by
the time they want it, and then you'll have to, be like, oh yeah, give me next quarter or something. I'll have it for you. It's like, because nothing's fast, so nothing happens quickly.
No, it definitely doesn't.
So.
And with taking all that time too to grow out your genetics, make new genetics, try these out, get familiar with them. Do you ever have the chance to run work from any other breeders? Or, let's just say you had an extra 10 by 10 tent you could set up. Maybe what are a breeder or two that you would be excited to pop? Or if you have a specific pack already in mind, I'd love to hear that too.
Right now, probably not too much, but I definitely have in the past, right? There's been plenty of times where I split down the middle. I was like, hey, let me run some of this other stuff, because whatever it is, there's something that, I don't have every profile, right? It's like, that's how we got the strawberry stuff, right? Like I saw the strawberries and cream. I was like, wow, this is actually strawberry. I was so impressed that it made sense to me that, well, we want to do strawberry too. So let's start with something that's already like proven to give you that. And that's like your best starting point. And then from there, you make like your R&D line, and then you build your lines off your R&D line, right? So it takes a lot of time and effort to do that. And we definitely do occasionally. So like strawberries and cream is a great example of where we had to go get something somewhere else and bring it in. I think another good example would be rainbow belts, right? Like I have the Project Zephyr, which is a company with me and Tiki Madman. And, I did a whole R&D line that wasn't even originally meant to be released. It was just for us to hunt and do all the building stuff with it. Ended up obviously coming to market with Zephyr, but that's where we built Zicky Guy off of, which is the ZBX2 going on 3. We did Bacchio belts, we did Z Code, and there will be more stuff coming too, right? So anytime that I go outside of us and grab something that's like, this is proven, bring it in, you make your R&D line, and then I'll build. I think the track record is almost like every time I've done this, I've built at least 3 different lines off of it. And that's, that just ends up being like, you can only spend so much time working out of like a flavor sect. And then you've already built more things. Now you're seeing those, you're building more things. And eventually you just can't be working on still the base R&D stuff anymore,
Yeah.
But yeah, so it definitely does happen. And if something is proven to really be a performer, like it has to resonate, you're like, that is unique, right? Because you want to bring something that's unique and functional and adoptable, right? Like it can't just be super unique to me. Other people have to be like, yes, we agree. And then if we are all in agreement, then it's something that might be worth doing more than just doing an outcross, and you would do like an R&D line.
That's a lot. Yeah, that's a lot of amazing stuff. A lot of great strains mentioned here. I know you've got over 50 strains in the bank, at least according to Seed Finder, which I believe, because I have looked around. Again, it's fairly easy to find your work, just raw genetics into the old Google machine. But to make it even easier for people and just where to stay up to date, where to find you, what are some of the best places to stay up to date with raw genetics?
Yeah, rawgenetics.io is our main website. We've got secret selections if you're looking for slips. We've also got Sticker Mob, which is a new addition to the lineup. If you're looking to get custom labels, hats, we're trying to offer a few interesting things over there with that. Other than that, I would say please follow us on X. Obviously, Instagram, you probably already do, most likely, if you're watching this, but Instagram is terrible. We can speak much more freely and put much more context with images. I can post all the flowers I want to. So the content is substantially better on X. If you guys want to join, it's definitely worth it. But yeah, obviously follow us on Instagram as well. And, be looking for the next interview, I guess.
Yeah, I like that. And that's a good piece of advice I haven't thought of because I haven't been on X for a while. But if it's a platform that doesn't censor us, I may have to revisit and take another look at it.
It's different, and Instagram people are definitely struggle to adopt it, but there is a big cannabis community. Pretty much all of the like Amsterdam, all those other, old school breeder guys, like everybody's on there. They're probably pretty big. I feel like most breeders have moved over, but most of the community has not. It's hard to adopt a new platform. But we can go live over there just like we can on IG. You're just not like Elon is just not stopping you from doing things and posting flowers is obviously hurting nobody. So yeah, I'm not getting blocked. You don't feel blacklisted. It's definitely much more, it's more friendly and accepting for the community if people would just adopt it a little bit.
All right. So for everybody that's watching, by the end of this show, see if I have an X account. That may be in the show notes. So we'll do that. And we've got more coming up in the show. We're just kicking it off with Brad, the rad Brad. We got a Brad and a Chad on the screen, and you freaking like it. So yeah, it's not all bad. Oh God, that's another rhyme. It's bordering on a dad joke. Okay, I'm gonna stop.
Oh shit! Oh, he's on a roll over here.
Rollover. It's definitely a wreck of some kind. But dude, Brad, thank you so much. Man. Yeah, thanks for your time, and I appreciate it. I always like to give guests any last words before we go on to the next segment. Any last words from you?
Yeah, thank you to everybody who supports Raw Genetics over the years and has been following us on the journey of, this whole crazy ride that we've been on together. So hopefully you guys are joining Discord, getting active in the community. It's a good place to get help if you're looking for any kind of help. And major thank you, again, for bringing me on the show. It's always a great time chatting, and we have so much fun, even in between the segments and stuff. So it's real pleasure. I'm always happy to come back anytime. For real, just reach out anytime. So
right on. Cool. All right, guys, stay tuned. We got more coming up. Hey guys, we are back here with Sticky Richie, and we are going to talk a few of his strains. I actually have a handful of his strains here. I will tell you where you can score some of them. But well, shoot. First of all, I should say thank you for joining me today. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. I'm super excited to be here as always. Yeah, from the first time about when was that? I guess a year ago or so was when I came on the Seed Collectors show with
Yeah.
John and Alex. And so, yeah, thanks for having me back.
My absolute pleasure. And sorry, I got excited there. I'm excited about your genetics, and I'm excited to share some of the stories behind them, because you do a lot of good research and grow outs, and you have testers behind a lot of these. So a couple of them that I wanted to show everybody today, and actually we'll start with this one. This one is called Soto Fountain. It is Gushmints. Oh, if I could ever get that to focus there. Let's see. Okay, so Gushmints times Soto F2. Now, Soto F2, pretty cool. That is the root beer times Chem Dog Special Reserve. So, what can you tell us maybe about this pack? And I'll just show everybody the logo there they're looking for. But what can you tell
Yeah.
us about the Soto Fountain?
Soda Fountain is a cross I made of the Gushmints and the what we call the Soto cut, or the Soto project, which is the Chem Dog Special Reserve and the root beer crossed to this Chem Dog Special Reserve. I made some crosses with that, and this is one of those. And it's one of the ones that's really been doing good indoors. A lot of my work is specifically been bred outdoors for outdoors. This is kind of one of the ones that was bred outdoors, but it tends to really thrive indoors, and it flowers just a little bit long for outdoors, at least in this neck of the woods. So it's been really nice. It's a beautiful plant. It has kind of great rosin quality. It presses really nice. It The Gushmans really do come through more than I thought. It's not just the root beer chem dog on that one. Multiple people have been finding ones that they're saying are Gushmints leaning. The one I had was also Gushmints kind of leaning. I was surprised. I thought the Chem Dog Special Reserve and the root beer or the soda would come through a little bit more. But so far, it's been a pretty nice mix of the two. And like I said, good returns, nice rosin.
Good. So it's a good resin production on there. Good for people who like washing. Good for people who like doing the pressing. And Gushmints is a pretty popular strain for good reasons. What was it about the one that you selected that you liked, or when you say that you see a lot of the Gushmints in the progeny, what traits of that are you kind of seeing pop up for people?
Well, the Gushmints was just a cut that I got with a few others from a friend. And I ran it a few times, and I really liked the resin quality on that cut. It comes out on the sweet side, almost like it's hard for me to explain that. It's not really like a berry or a citrus, but it's like a sweet, almost fruity kind of subtleness on it with light sandy quality resin. The plants themselves grew pretty vigorously. They flowered a solid 10 weeks, I would say, was where I would give them between 9 and 10 weeks is kind of the window where they're going to go. They showed beautiful purples of like the gush mints. You were asking me about the gush mints. Sorry. They're kind of purplish, greenish, showing flashes of color. That plant itself, I ran about 9 weeks. I liked it a lot, but I didn't feel like it was going to really crush outside. So as I was using the Soto male, or the males that I selected for the season. I just selected some of the cuts that I was going to pollinate with it, and that one happened to be one of them. So I ran with it and checked them out, sent them out to some testers. People are growing them out. People have been loving them. So I released them.
So another one we have here too was the pocket mulch. And I love that the Hippie Slayer times Lemon Lollipops. And the thing that, Hippie Slayer is a fantastic name, but the Lemon Lollipops, it's the Oregon Lemons times Blue Magoo BX2. And being in Washington, just north of Oregon, yeah, that Blue Magoo, I've gotten that down there, and that was very special. Oregon Lemons as well. So maybe can you tell us a little bit about the parents or how you came into those on this one and why you chose them for pocket mulch?
Yeah, the pocket mulch I named after this old Simpsons episode where Lisa meets the vegetarian kid, and he's asked her, what, you don't pocket mulch, and he has compost in his pockets, and he was a level 9 vegetarian. He didn't eat anything that cast a shadow. Remember that? Oh man, that's one of the best episodes ever. Way ahead of its time, so long ago. But anyways, Hippie Slayer times Lemon Lollipops. Hippie Slayer is a really cool, old school, unique Bodhi cut. I received from Elite Phenos, another friend of mine out of Massachusetts here, and this cut is super cool. It's got like weird, funky, skunky armpit kind of old schoolness going on to it. It's not a real commercially viable cut, I would say, but it's so unique and so cool that I loved it. And it's been around for a while in the Northeast here. I crossed it. So that was one of the cuts I had around that I was anticipating using in a project. So the Lemon Lollipops is is work from Professor P, Dynasty Genetics. Shout out to him. He's been someone I look up to in the breeding game for many, many years. He's been doing it the right way for forever. Lemon Lollipops is a creation of his. So yeah, it's coming right from your backyard, the strains that you were just talking about. So you probably actually know more about the Oregon lemons and than I do. I know that Professor P said something to the effect like it's rumored to be one of the original famous lemon strains. I can't remember exactly which one it is. I don't want to misquote him right now, but it's really cool lemon, and the Blue Magoo is famous on its own right for high quality resin and that blueberry, hints of blueberry and everything else. So it seemed like a no-brainer and I was growing that outdoors, having great success with the Lemon Lollipops outside. So I decided to maybe hit it to that Hippie Slayer to see if I could make the Hippie Slayer and Lemon Lollipop combo be a more vigorous combination where I could try to find some Hippie Slayer leaning plants that were really cool, and adding the awesomeness of the vigor and the quickness of the Lemon Lollipops that came out. The Lemon Lollipops came out with a really unique spread of either straight, beautiful lemon to a subtle blueberry lemon kind of vibe. There was a lot of really interesting lemon, blueberry, almost floral in there at some points on some of them. So I thought it would be a really great combination with that old school Hippie Slayer. So, Hippie Slayer. So I did that. People have been sending in some really beastie pictures. I know some folks have really been crushing that one outside this season. And I'm super happy to see that. Unfortunately, I had a some kind of animal cruise through my patch and it ate a bunch of stuff, and my pocket mulches were one of the casualties. I normally can tell which animal it is, like a deer or whatever else, and they leave pretty obvious signs. This time it was really weird, but yeah. So
They
I
came in
lost
with
some of,
snowshoes.
yeah. So, anyways, long story short is I personally don't have them in my garden this year, but only because of critters. But
Yeah.
other folks are really doing well with it this season. And yeah, I think it's a really cool combination. I'm hoping to dive in further and keep going to find something like I was explaining. Um,
That's That's rad, man. You got me extra curious too, and I'm getting ready to pop more seeds. So this one might just stay out of the box and get some love here. I like that. I like the sound of the profile, and people can still pick these first two that we've mentioned up on the Daga.garden website, right? They can still find them there.
Absolutely. If you're
Okay.
looking to get this stuff, there's a handful of things still available at Dog Garden. I believe Pocket Mulch, Soda Fountain are two of them. East Coast Snowblower is another one that might still be there, which is another Lemon Lollipops cross I did. Um, and there might even be some foreplays left, which well, let me back up. Foreplay is Forbidden Jelly times Purple Unicorn
Okay.
times Pinkleberry Kush. The
Ooh.
Forbidden Jelly times Purple Unicorn is a cross that I did. The Purple Unicorn is something that I'm obsessed with since another Bodie creation. It's a Chem Dog and Blackberry cross. He was going for a purple that is not sweet, but really chem and super potent. And
Hmm.
which is really hard to do. That's kind of like a unicorn, right?
It really is purple powerful. That's
But the I was expecting a lot of fruit and stuff in these forbidden jellies because it comes forward quite a bit in the forbidden jelly with the foreplay. I mean, but this one that finished up really quickly is straight purple unicorn terps, and it's extremely potent, and it finished by September 6th. So I'm
damn.
extremely pumped about sorting through more of these. The thing is about them is that they're so fast that you have to kind of not pick the first ones that start flowering. They might show a little bit of um, intersex kind of stuff really briefly in the beginning. So you can kind of see that. So anything that starts flowering really quick, you don't want. This is kind of like a sweet spot with this strain because they're so fast that they're so fast that they're not going to grow big enough, and that they might show some intersex still, but they're really fun to play with. I handed out like 100 packs this year just to see if people would have fun with them. And I hope that they're finding stuff like that because I can't wait for my friends to try this because it's like crazy chem flavored with a blackberry twist.
Yes.
Just really potent, and it was so fast. So definitely worth diving into foreplay if you're one of those folks that happen to score a free pack at any of those times I was tossing them out. But yes, so Daga Garden, Daga.garden, Daga.love. They have my stuff. Also, the only other place really is my homie in Massachusetts here is trying to start up the first brick and mortar seed shop in the state, really. And Daniel Rising, Chai Life Seeds, or
Okay.
Seed Mass. He also has a few packs of my stuff left, I think. Just trying to support him also. But yeah, the main person to find any of my stuff will be Daga.garden.
That's awesome. And if somebody was local in Massachusetts and were able to get there, I know it's not the size of Texas, but I imagine it can take time to get from one end to the other. Where around or what parts can people go to this brick and mortar and score some of your stuff?
Seed Mass is I think at Seed Mass is the Instagram, and they're in Greenfield, Massachusetts, which is in Western Mass. You can kind of get there right off of Route 91, so it's close to Vermont, but it's a couple hours from Boston, couple hours from a lot of different places. It's pretty centrally located here in New England.
So everybody you can score them online, but if you are in that area, go support your brick and mortar store. Keep those folks in business, and that would be pretty darn cool though, to be able to walk into a store and see your packs hanging on the wall. So
it's a long
I
process.
Wish that place success.
Yeah, it's a long process, and I know that it might even be a appointment only still until they officially get everything else going. But it's definitely up and running.
Awesome. And speaking of up and running, we've talked about some things that are kind of like currently available, some things that I'm getting excited to pop and work with. What do you got coming up in the future? What are you working with, and why are you working with it?
Nice. This year was a strange year for us here in New England. It's basically been raining since April, and my normal process for selecting and breeding was definitely hindered by all the rain and wind and crazy weather. So the things that I focused on were I narrowed down the scope of things to the important few things that I was kind of really wanting to pursue. One of those was continuing the Sodo work. So I went and selected the Sodos from F3s to F4s. And I also took some of those males that I selected from the Sodo F3s, and I pollinated a couple things, one of which is the Chem D cut, and the other is the double OG Chem from Rebel Dan. Both of those, I'm just a real potent chem guy. I love that kind of vibe. Yeah. So to add that vigorous outdoor kick that the Sodo has, I find I could add the Chem D to that, which also produces great resin. So I'm thinking, the Chem Sodo could be a delicious rosin producing dumping plant. So that was one idea. And the similar with the double OG Chem, that's one of the coolest, tastiest plants I've had in a long time, including the another one off that list would be the Natty Bumpo, but Rebel Dan and Owen and Good People Gardens up there, they're doing incredible things. So I wanted to use that. This plant, it was not selected by them. This was a plant that was originally selected by our good friend, the Grow Space Killer, John. He grew out these and selected this double OG Chem, dropped it off here, and I decided to use it as part of this project. Another thing that I've been working on for a while is been working with the Pinkleberry Cushes that Green Source Gardens have created many years ago. I've kind of just fallen in love with it and have been continuing on filial generation, selecting my own path with them. I'm up to an F9 with those. This year, the Coca-Cola time pickleberry crosses that I made last year, I was been testing out, and I'm finding incredibly cool, vigorous plants, really fast flowering, really beautiful orange, magenta, crazy purple, just unbelievable colors. And like the pinkleberries do, just with more vigor because the Coca-Cola, and I'm starting to find unique aromas off of them more than the pinkleberry is such a dominant thing at this point. I'm using, not the F9 generation to the breed. I'm using earlier filial generations, but even back then, those generations are still pretty dominant. So to find things that kind of take over it are rare. One of the successful crosses that I've done that I'm really loving with the pinkleberry is the Oreos cut times pinkleberry. The Oreos cut outdoors, people give it a lot of flack, let's say, about being flat and herbless. I found it to be really fast onset flowering outdoors. I found it to take a lot of rain and water very well. It was very durable. And it was one of the few things that was flowering fast enough when I did my pickleberry pollinations to hit it. And I hit it, and then I started testing those. And it's one of the few plants that's not taken over by the pink pistils. It holds its own against it, and the resin quality is quite great. And they're all very durable outside in this season. So I have high hopes for that cross moving forward. And the last one that I guess that I'll talk about is the Garlic Hot Grace times Glazed Cherries. It's something that I got from Green Source Gardens years ago. I don't know what filial generation it was at when they gave it, or when I got it from them. It wasn't really labeled, but I've taken it a couple more since then. So I'm not sure what generation I'm really at, but I know I've been working it for a few years. I really love it. It's a dense, really interesting resin quality on it. So I crossed it it's continued it, along. But I also crossed it to the white truffle cut, and to the platinum swabby, a cut that I selected out of the One World, One Plant thing. But the white truffle cross is this year. There's been some awesome smelling phenos that I can't wait to crack open some jars and take down soon. Take them down, then go through that whole process, then crack open the jars. But I'm really excited to taste some of these. They smell absolutely awesome, and I'm sure the resin quality is going to be good. So I'm super pumped for those. I'm trying to get those into the hands of some people as quick as possible to pop those, because I'm finding some really cool stuff in there. And then I hit it to the platinum swabby, which was the platinum punch times the swabby Pakistani. It was a One World, One Plant thing that in-house genetics did. I think the original work was a Mass Medical Strains collaboration with him, but I'm not sure. But I hunted through those, and I picked a real swabby leaning one because I had already run the platinum punch a bunch of times, and I could identify those traits pretty easily. So I selected as far away from that as I could, and I came out with this like really cheesy smelling, really loud, cheesy smelling plant. So I hit it to this garlic hot cherries, and I hit it to itself, and I hit it to the Hindu Kush, and a couple other things that I'm trying to still work through. But these garlic hot times glazed cherry crosses are very promising. So look out for some of those, or if people are interested in testing some, they can definitely hit me up. I know there's a small group of folks that I already have working on this kind of stuff, but I'm always interested in new folks who are passionate about the plant.
That's awesome, man. And it's been on kind of the bottom of the packs when I'm showing them here. And actually, here's something that I've got with the pinkleberry cushion. There's the pinkle sticks, but we've got your Instagram right here, and we've got a good email for you. Are these the best places people can hit you up for genetics or for questions, or maybe to become a tester?
Yeah, basically, for tried and true genetics, where you want to go is Garden, or any, or Chai Life Seed Bank, or like I was saying earlier. But if you're looking to be a tester, or to just ask me questions, or reach out, or just be, part of this awesome community, you can reach me at either stickyrichy@gmail as an email, and Sticky Richy is STICKYRICHY at Gmail, or at Sticky Richy on IG. I do a lot of posts on IG, so that's probably the best place to follow my activities. It's I stay private so that nobody shuts me down all the time, but I'm fairly easy to access, so don't be shy. Request, and I usually will let you in there, and then we go from there. I just don't like playing the game where they shut me down all the time and all of that. And I find when I'm private, I don't have any problems at all. So
Good.
that's just the way it goes for me.
Good. So people can find you there, and that's awesome that you are accessible like that. Now, one thing I always like to ask, breeders that I like, I'm like, what do you have that you're excited to pop? Like, who's in your collection, and why is it in your collection? I always like to ask that.
Yeah, good questions. Luckily, I'm prepared, and I came with. Let's start with. I've already mentioned him once tonight, but I'll do it again because I really respect his work. Professor P, Dynasty Genetics, Relic Seed. This is a pack that I just popped some of. I don't know if you can see it clearly enough. It's Super Silver Kiwi. So it's the Kiwi times the Super Silver Haze F3 that he's been working with. He's done the Super Silver Haze F3 cross to the 98 Cup winning Super Silver Haze for Relic Seeds, and that is just a project that just went out that is, he's saying it's as close to his awesomeness from a seed that you can get. So he did a lot of crosses with that Super Silver Haze work that he's done, and the kiwi itself is a really unique kind of plant that I've never grown yet either. I'm part of his Discord channel, so he goes into detail a lot, and there's a lot of people on there growing his work. So this one jumped out at me, and I couldn't resist, so I popped some of them. Shout out to Professor P. Should be some unique stuff here. Some of the folks are saying that they pressed it and they were getting great rosin out of it. So I'm super pumped about that. One other person that I met this year, really cool cat. Excited to go through this. He gave me, or his name is the Terp Wizard. He's a dragon earthfly medicine correlated breeder and farmer. And this cross is strawberry jelly, and it's a strawberry pie times grape cream cake F2. He's a kind of a hash growing specialist. Again, he's a Dem Pure certified.
So for people who are watching right now, because definitely go and check out the other episodes that we've done together with Sticky Richie, because you've got a unique approach to farming. Can you real quickly, Sam, what is Dem certified mean, and what sets them apart from the commercial operation with automated irrigation, all that jazz? What's so special about them? And this work too that Terp Wizard's doing, and the style that you grow.
Yeah, it's basically a group of folks who are passionate about regenerative agriculture, sustainable agriculture, growing things in the most natural way that we can, using the least amount of chemicals. Closing as many loops as you can is one thing they call it, where it, kind of like if you're on your farm and you grow grass on your farm, and then you have an animal that eats that grass to feed it, and that animal poops on your lawn to feed that grass, and then you eat that animal, and that completes the circle, so that you do everything from within, and you're not using plastic bottles and all of that stuff. It's kind of a next level, more than organic kind of vibe. If you really care about clean medicine and clean plants and sun grown, it's your people. If you're an indoor grower and you're not concerned about these things, they're probably going to turn you off, to be honest. But Turf Wizard is out of Michigan, and he is an awesome farmer hash maker. So I'm excited to get some of these strawberry turfs. He also makes some really crazy cool stickers.
That's cool. Reminds me of the Zorro from He-Man, the first one.
He's got his sticker
I
game
love
is the
stickers.
point. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that doesn't hurt. But he also gave me like a fermented watermelon. I think it's right here. It's GMO times blueberry watermelon times melon bread. So I just really dig the packaging. It's all natural, wax sealed. Everything's just right on point. And from what I hear, he's been on the scene creating some really incredible rosin that I can't wait to hook up with him sometime and try it out personally. I know he was in Maine. We just crossed paths at one of the hash competitions regionally here in Maine. He flew in for it and competed, but I was with John and Alex, and they were out sweeping the cup scene, so in a different competition. So I got there a little late and missed him. But yeah, so those are two packs that I'm super pumped about growing that aren't mine. And I could go on.
I know you could. Well, thank you, for your time today, and thank you for sharing and explaining, some of the work that you've already done that people can still get, some things to look for. Foreplay sounds particularly interesting, and the things that you're excited to pop, man. Because again, you that's why I asked Turf Wizard. He's not known by everybody, but he's known by enough people that you're like, I want to some of that stuff. So, but for Sticky Richie, I want to say thank you for your time again, and thanks for coming out today, brother.
Thanks a lot, Chad. Thanks for all you do.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Thank you for watching the show. I hope you enjoyed. More episodes of the Breeding and Genetics Show are coming up soon. In the meantime, check out some of the other videos on the channel. I am Chad Westport. You can find me on Instagram, chad.westport. There's also the website, chadwestport.com. And of course, right here on the YouTube channel, Chad Westport. So again, thank you for hanging out. And until the next time, remember to party on.